All right, Terry, it certainly was a spectacular week of skating in Nashville. Can't wait for Worlds. Wide World of Sports has been covering the U.S. National Figure Skating Championships for 34 years, longer than any other championship except the Little League World Series. Coincidentally, our first Nationals back in 1964 also marked a first for one of our colleagues, then a demure teenager. They might have thought I was talking about you until I said demure, Brett. You know who I'm talking about.
Thank you very much, Robin. Obviously, we are talking about Peggy Fleming. The 1964 Nationals was only the beginning of her limelight. 1968, competing in her second Olympics, she won gold in Grenoble and sealed a run of 3 world championships and 5 U.S. titles. She retired on top and soon had her own TV special called Here's Peggy Fleming. On it, she inspired Gene Kelly to try ice dancing, lured a ski lesson out of the downhill great Jean-Claude Keeling. Even the Iron Curtain lifted for the American champion as she taped her special From Russia with Love in the Soviet Union. And today, her success continues in yet 2 more roles. Mom to sons Todd, a 2nd grader, and Andy, a freshman at the University of Denver, and wife of Dr. Greg Jenkins. For 26 years, they've been happily married. But today's Wide World Classic revisits the very beginning of Peggy's legacy.
Peggy Fleming began skating at age 9. But just when she began to compete, the soul of American figure skating was extinguished. In 1961, en route to the World Championships in Prague, the plane carrying the entire national team crashed in Belgium. No one survived.
I was 11 years old when all that happened. And it was such shock. I woke up that morning and they had it on the news. And my coach was killed in that plane crash. And some of the skaters at our local rink that went on to the Worlds were killed.
It was in Cleveland, and it was a very emotional championship because remember that the crash had occurred a relatively short time previous to this, and the skaters were all very young. And Peggy was in the senior championship. I don't think she'd ever competed in the novice or junior championship, and she was charming. But she was very young.
Well, I went into the Nationals in '64 as a real unknown. I had never won a national title in my life. I'd come in 2nd or 3rd in the novice and the juniors before. So I had just kind of qualified to even compete in the seniors, and winning the competition was totally out of the question.
This is Peggy Fleming, 15 years old, from Pasadena, California. The big surprise of this championship so far.
I was just focusing on myself and having the nerve enough to get out there in front of the judges and the audiences. I was kind of oblivious as to Carol Heiss being there or Jim McKay or ABC covering the event.
Peggy was very feminine, very elegant skater, wispy, soft, but Peggy always had that mental toughness that goes with being a champion.
I learned from Carol about the image of what a champion should look like and act like, and I wanted to be that.
She's in 3rd place at the end of the school figures, and reputedly, her free skating is the best part of her repertoire.
I was nervous, but yet I knew that I was well trained. I was ready for skating the best that I could, and I love my music. That's always been my friend when I'm out there on the ice, no matter how scared or lonely I feel.
This is the jump I want you to really watch, Jim. The double axel. Oh, terrific!
That was beautiful, wasn't it?
And the music I skated to was the art of the prima ballerina. That music was wonderful for me, and I really did float kind of over the ice, and I could see, you know, a spark of what I was feeling with that music.
She hasn't really missed anything at all so far, has she?
She skated a flawless program so far.
I landed everything in my program. I was certainly shocked, and I'm sure the skating world was too.
She ends her program with a flying sit spin. Wow, that was really high.
What a performance! Peggy Fleming.
I think she'll probably win the freestyle.
When I ended the program, I was so relieved to have it over with. I just threw my hands up and like I was so excited, like I'd given like the performance of my lifetime, which I guess I did. And I didn't take it a step further of like, okay, now I've got to bow. And I sort of wandered around the center of the ice, and I never really did stand still and take a bow and acknowledge the audience. I hadn't practiced that part yet. So I kind of wandered off the ice and then faced Jim McKay during this interview.
Peggy Fleming is 15 years old. How does that sound to you?
Good. My hair was kind of geeky.
Last year you were just third in the juniors. How do you account for the tremendous improvement in your skating, Peggy?
Well, I worked hard this year.
Like 15 years old when I won my first national championship, I'll look at my own son at 15 going, my gosh, he just seems so young. I remember when I was that age that I had the pressure of being a national champion, going on to the Olympic team and competing at the Worlds, and there was just so many different pressures that were put upon me than my own children. And I think it made me grow up a lot faster because of that pressure being put on me.
You sure must have worked hard. You don't even sound out of breath.
I am.
Here's a young girl you're going to hear a lot more about. Peggy Fleming of California.
Thank you.
From the Arctic Blades Figure Skating Club, Miss Peggy Fleming.
Here is the official word. Peggy Fleming, in a startling upset, has won the United States Ladies Senior Figure Skating Championship. 15 years old, she is the champion.
The hallmarks of what she became later were all quite evident in that championship.
Skating was the tool that helped me so much, and it was a wonderful life lesson for me to deal with my self-confidence and to deal with how do I express myself, and skating was my tool.
Peggy is also a joy to work with, such an elegant woman. Of course, she talks about other skaters as our analyst, but she'll also get on the ice herself, Brent.
No, absolutely, Robin. You know, last year she performed in her very first Nutcracker on ice. She appeared in Skates of Gold with other Olympic champions. Peggy really advocates staying in shape, and she's a perfect role model for that. In fact, next month, Peggy Fleming is going to speak to Congress about an initiative to encourage Americans to live a healthier lifestyle so we can look like Robin.
Oh, well, thank you there. She's special indeed, like yourself. Thanks, Brent. Don't forget, Peggy and Brent and the rest of our skating team will be on hand for the sport's most important event outside of the Olympics, the World Figure Skating Championships, beginning March 20th right here on ABC.